Babble with Ben.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. Brodie Angus, how are you?
Yeah, good.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen you.
Oh, yeah, geez. It definitely has. Gosh, I can't even remember the last time we hung out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you came around in that red Corolla. Like, oh gosh, was it, because I know we were hanging out at the start of the lockdown a little bit surreptitiously. I'd come and meet you on a bike and,
Yeah.
and we'd be like, what the fuck is happening to the planet? But,
Yes.
yeah, because we've known each other since 2018 now, haven't we?
Oh, it's been that long. Oh
Yeah, the before times, like, because
BC, before COVID.
before COVID. That's a great way to describe it. Oh, I'm gonna steal that one. BC, before COVID.
Go for it.
Because we were we both went through the diploma program here at Box Hill.
We sure did. That was so much fun.
It was,
Honestly,
yeah.
I've never had more fun studying anything. I think it was just the group of people that we were with. It was just fun.
We were in for the fun, weren't we? Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
And there wasn't the pressure, I think, of like a degree or something like that. It was kind of
Yeah.
like we're all here to learn something and have fun, and. Yeah, it seems like I guess it was a long time ago now, wasn't it? Like, COVID aside, it's got to be the best part of 4 years now, nearly 5.
Yeah. Jeez, it feels like yesterday and years ago at the same time. Like, being in lockdown kind of cut out 2 years of memory of life, just of everything. So it just feels like yesterday that we were here.
It is strange, isn't it? How, there's kind of like, I always think back to Endgame with Marvel, because it's kind of like, there was the snap and
we were stuck in the blip.
We were, what do they call it? In the Soul Stone,
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. It's just kind of like, people's haircuts changed, but there was kind of like 2 years missing. And I think there's a combination of that repetitiveness of lockdown, but also that trauma too. Like,
Oh, for sure.
like, I think I sort of go, nope, I don't remember that part. I remember having great fun getting stoned playing video games, but that's it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I can hardly remember lockdown as it is. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot, and it was probably really good for me that I just didn't do anything. But, so much happened, yet so little happened at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was such a weird time.
Because it's like the days, went by slowly, but the months went by real quick.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. It was just like a blur. It's a blur now. When we were in it, it felt like it was never going to end. Like we were just going to be stuck there, and none of us were going to leave our homes for God knows how long. Because nobody could tell us when COVID was going to end, or when, we were all going to be safe to go outside again. There was no indication of anything at that point. I'm not surprised so many people ended up being depressed being in that state. Like, we weren't given any kind of hope about it.
It was the uncertainty, and I think it was also during bad times, I think the natural reaction is to go and reach out for your friends, but then to be able to say, nope, you can't see your friends, especially if they're more than 5 kilometres away, that was a real game changer for me. I'd never been through anything like that before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, you grow up having your parents being like, no, you can't see your friend this weekend. Until you grow up and suddenly it's the government being like, no, you can't see your friends this weekend. It's like, hang on. I'm not a child. Like, I can do this responsibly, but you have to kind of go, well, maybe someone else can't.
Yeah.
So, it was really tough, because you kind of like, I need to see my friends for the good of my mental health. I need to go see my friends, but at the same time, for the good of the physical health of everyone I care about, everyone I live with, I have to go without. It's rough choices.
That was the dilemma, wasn't it? Because, I don't think it's any secret that I'm a bit partial to, smoking a joint every now and again, right? And you can sort of go, okay, well, the government doesn't fully endorse this activity, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? Because it's really only affecting me, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with COVID, it's kind of like, well, actually, if you do this, you're putting pressure on, the emergency services, you're putting your friends at risk. And so it wasn't kind of like that, fuck the government, I'm going to do what I want. It's kind of like, oh, they might actually have a point, and and that's what made it even worse, because if I definitely maybe went a little bit, like 5.5 k's from home, and I might have given someone a sneaky hug very quickly, right?
Yeah.
But then it was kind of like, oh, was that the right thing? Have I just I put my friend in danger? And
it suddenly became dangerous to be human.
yeah.
It was just a risk to be a person at that time.
And that was what was weird about it too, wasn't it? It's not like, a recession or a bushfire or something where it's like, okay, yeah, you can just, you can go and hug people and touch them. It was like, no, those very natural, comforting human behaviours were all off the table.
Yeah. And it's really rough. It's like there are people that rely on that kind of connection to feel good about themselves, and suddenly it was taken away and they had no other option, had to sit around not feeling good because they couldn't access anything that would help them feel better. I feel so bad. Like, I thrived being on my own for a while. It was like, at the start, it was hard. Like, it was rough because I was used to going out all the time and going and seeing friends all the time. But eventually I was like, actually, this has probably been a benefit. Like, I probably should stay inside, just do my own shit for a while. But like, I feel bad for the people that don't thrive in that kind of environment, that can't be alone. I don't think it's a bad thing to not enjoy your own company, but I feel bad that they really had no choice but to sit in a way that's not benefiting them at all. Everything got taken from some of those people.
Absolutely, yeah. I think people, with my day job as an IT guy, right, I would actually be seeing a lot of people that lived by themselves, and yeah, they seemed to be the ones that struggled the most because being able to go out and have a lunch with friends. I mean, not only were the restaurants all shut, but you really weren't supposed to be going to see your friends, and especially elderly people that live by themselves, I personally saw suffer a lot during these lockdowns.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I had it all right. I lived with my family. So my mum was there and I had a couple of my brothers there. So I was never really on my own, but mum did work in aged care at the time. So a lot of my decisions had to be like, okay, I need to keep her safe so she can keep other people safe because she's working in a high-risk area. I had it easy in a way that I was with my family, but sometimes your family's not the same as being with your mates.
No, it's nothing. It's not the same. I mean, it's better than nothing for sure, but it's not. There are certain conversations I would have with my friends that I certainly would not have with mum and dad. That's for sure. Hi, mum. Hi, dad.
Well, yeah. I mean, mum and I are close enough that we really kind of talk like we're best mates, which I feel really privileged to have that with my mum. But at the same time, you can't get that same level of relaxed and free feeling with your parents than you can with your best mate who, lives, 15 k's away and you can't see him.
Yeah.
So, I definitely missed that. Like, you could talk to someone and then they could go home and they're not going to spread it throughout the house. But, you could stay at home, talk to your mum, talk to your brother, and suddenly everyone in the house knows your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Junebug never snitch on you, though.
Oh, no. Juno would never snitch on me. She loves me. I mean, I think she might love the kids a little bit more than me. Which, I'm okay with it. I'll accept it. It's fine.
Can you tell the people at home all about Juno?
Oh, Juno, she's something else. So she's a little staffy, and she is half the size of a regular staffy. Like, you assume a full-grown staffy get to 20, 25 kilos. She averages out at about 12 kilos. I got her as kind of like mental health support, I guess. I thrive when I'm caring for something. I have strong maternal instinct, that kind of person. So, I got her and she's just been incredible. She's been there with me. she's about to turn 2, so I think I've had her
Wow.
close
Yeah,
to 2 years
yeah.
now. And, she's just full of love. Like, her brain empty, no think, just love, just happy. That's it. And, like, I wouldn't have it any other way. She's just this magical, happy little June bug. Like, she's just, she sleeps in my bed every night, except when the kids are over, she ditches me and goes and sleeps with the kids instead.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, I'm okay with that. That I can deal with that. That's fine. And, she's incredible with kids for a dog that really only interacts with them every fortnight. So she doesn't interact with kids every day. It's once a fortnight. She sees my 2 when they come over, and she's amazing with them. Initially when they walk in the door, she is over the moon, excited, jumping, zoomies, running everywhere. I have to put her outside so that she can calm down for a little while before coming in. But then after the initial 10, 15 minutes, she's sitting next to him. She doesn't let them out of her sight. Sits on the couch next to Tyson. That's it. She doesn't leave Tyson's side the entire weekend. She's just so happy. So happy. I'd never seen an aggressive moment out of her.
That's good. That's
She's,
super good.
My brother had his cat, and they were besties. When he moved out, she was depressed.
Really? Yeah.
She was actually depressed for maybe a week before the kids came over, and then she was kind of getting back to herself. But she was just, moping and like looking around for him and like just laying down on the couch sleeping all the time. And I felt really bad. And I'm not a cat person, but I've really considered getting a cat for my dog.
Just for June, yeah.
Yeah, and so many people are like, hey, maybe you should just get a cat. And I'm like, I hate that I'm thinking about it. But no, she's great. Great with other animals, great with people. I couldn't have asked for a better dog, really. She's great. Amazing. Yeah, the best.
Do you reckon she helped during lockdown? Do you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's hard because, I probably still would have felt the same, but it gave me my responsibilities back. I had to get up for her. I had to get up and feed her. I had to walk her. Like, it gave me things that I had to do. Whereas beforehand, I didn't have to do anything. I was fine just sitting out in the garage or just being in bed, doing nothing. Getting her gave me so much more purpose again to actually get up and do things and be up and about. And to this day, I'm still up at 7 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
Because she's up and ready to go. And, 9 p.m., 9:30, she's trying to walk me to bed.
Yeah.
So, she really gave me a sleep routine too. So she's helped immensely. I don't know what my life would be like if she wasn't about. And yeah, she's only nearly 2 and feels like she's been around forever and not very long at the same time. Like, I can't remember what it was like without her there. She's just the best.
That's one of those magic things about pets, isn't it? Is that sometimes, you just think, wow, what would my life be like without them? Because I have my two parrots.
Yeah.
And when I was listening to you talking about the positive effect that Juno has on your sleep routine, I was the same because I've got my 2 birds, and I tell you what, at the crack of dawn, if they are not fed, I am not sleeping. They will yell at the top of their lungs saying, hey,
right,
what are you doing?
Juno can't tell the time. She can't read, but she sure knows when 5 p.m. is near.
Oh, yeah.
She knows. It starts getting to like, some days it's 4:30 and she's staring me down. And I'm like, it's not even close, mate. Don't even try it. Just don't. But, she won't like stop just staring at me, ears up, just sitting there staring at me until dinner is being prepared for her. And half the time she doesn't even eat it all.
Oh, really?
She'll go back and snack on it throughout the next day or throughout the night. I'm like, you pressure me so hard for this. You didn't even eat it all.
It's like savings in the bank, isn't it? It's like, okay, look, I'm not going to have it all now, but at least I know it's here when I need it. Did the cat? What was the cat's name? What was your brother's cat's name?
Curly. But
Curly.
I thought it was a stupid name because he wasn't curly in any kind of way. So I just referred to him as Cat. And he answered to it. He knew what I was. He knew I was calling him if I said Cat. So.
Would Cat ever steal Juno's food or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We had to feed them separately. While he was still there, I fed her outside because she would move out of the way for him. Or she would just kind of like scooch herself over, keep eating so he could get in and keep eating. And it's like one time, I just want you to be possessive. One time, just tell him he can't have that. No, he'd jump out from his food and come and eat Juno's instead.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. And that cat, he acted like he was never not hungry. Like he was just, he just wanted to eat 24/7. Like I feel like that might be a cat trait. I have no idea, but that cat was something else. Like he had a dog-like personality. That cat. It was weird. We got him and he was like 18 months old, and we weren't too sure how he was going to be with a dog because, you know, he's not a kitten. He can't get used to it. He's already kind of got his attitudes and stuff. Initially, it was Juno that was scared of him. Just was not. She was really excited that he was there, but didn't want to get too close. And after a week, they were both tackling each other and like sprinting up and down the house. It really took no time at all. But it was only ever Juno that copped in any injuries.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
What was the worst that Juno ever copped it from Cat?
She definitely ended up with a lot of scratches on her face and in her ears.
I think I saw a picture of one of those.
Yeah, and she ended up with, you know, scars on her lip or over her nose or something.
Left a mark.
Oh yeah, and you know they'd heal and they'd be fine. And she never, like, anytime he was just there chewing on her face or something, she just let him. Didn't move. Would just stay completely still and wait for him to finish. And I was like, just tell him off. He's biting your face. What are you doing? But yeah, like, Cat never injured. Not once. Juno was not rough with him. You know, it looked rougher than it was because she used to go for the scruff of his neck and try and grab the scruff of his neck.
Yep.
And for ages, I was like, oh my God, Juno, get off, stop. And then I realised the cat was like rolling himself over under her and being like, oh, my poor exposed neck. Oh. And trying to like encourage her to do it. And I was like, oh, you guys just go ahead then. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's the dynamic, isn't it? It's like, well, if it works for them.
Yeah. I mean, they had fun, you know. They constantly having fun. You know, they would nap at the same time, and then as soon as they were up and awake, they were sprinting up and down the house, chasing each other, whether it was the dog looking for him or he was looking for her, going like, oh, you know, look, I'm defenseless. You better chase me. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, they had a great relationship. I'd never seen a dog and cat interact with each other the way those two did. It was amazing. It was odd.
Yeah,
it was very odd.
But beautiful, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I have no words for it. It was just so many people, if they'd come over, they were like, I've never seen that. I'm like, don't worry about it. They're not hurting each other. They're just wrestling 24/7. You know, it'd be like 10 p.m. at night and the cat's sticking his claws under my door trying to get the dog to come out and play. I'm like, no, just leave us alone for a little bit. But yeah, no, I think she definitely misses having a pet friend, probably even more specifically a cat friend. She loved having the cat around. Yeah, it was definitely surprising how well they got along, but so thankful at the same time. You don't want to have a dog and a cat in the house and they hate each other.
Oh, no, that would be dreadful.
No, like...
Oh, the blood fur everywhere. Yeah, noise.
No thanks. No thank you. That would stressful. I would not do it. Like, we were worried about that initially, but it went better than expected. So much better than expected. You know, if the cat ever left the house for a vet trip or something, Juno was anxious. She was at the door. She was waiting. Even if Juno was outside at night, you could hear the cat running up and down the house, just screaming because he couldn't find the cat, couldn't find the dog.
Couldn't find Juno. Yep.
So
Where's Juno?
yeah, it's very cute, but at the same time, it's like that's a lot of separation anxiety to have for two species of animal that are supposed to not get along.
So you've got your two boys, haven't you? You've got Tyson and Zeke, yeah?
Yes, I do.
And you're saying that they get along pretty well with Juno too.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah, they love her. Tyson in particular loves her. Just doesn't want to leave her alone.
How old are your boys now?
Zeke just turned 6, and
Wow.
Tyson will be turning 8 in May. Which it's a lot.
8 in May, yeah.
It feels like a lot. Like, I don't feel like I have 2 kids in primary school, and one being in grade 1 and the other one being in he'd be in grade 2, grade 3 now, grade 2. So yeah, I don't feel like I have primary school age children, but I think that's just the standard mum thing of like, they're my babies.
Oh yeah, you're just thinking, well, wasn't that long ago I was changing your nappies? And
Right.
how did they go during lockdown?
They went all right, actually. I think, they didn't really get upset by it. Tyson in particular can be a bit shy when it comes to social situations. I think Zeke was probably very bored. He needs to be doing something all the time. But they weren't excited about going back to school initially.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
They were like, they liked being able to learn at home with nanny and dad, and then be able to just go back to playing, doing whatever they want. Like, they didn't have to get up super duper early and get ready and all that kind of stuff, and then go to school. And, at that age, school is exhausting. It's tiring. I think the biggest part was not being able to go to the shops, like when
Yeah.
retail closed.
Yeah.
That was kind of, it bugged them a little bit, especially when they were asking for something. And I was like, I'm just going to have to wait. Like, I can't do anything about it. But other than that, I don't think they really cared too much. I don't think they really knew any different because they started
Yeah.
school at that time. That's just how it was. They didn't feel like they were missing out. Which is kind of weird. Like, I feel for that generation, they've missed out on a lot. Tyson missed out on most of prep, grade 1. Zeke missed out on a bit of prep this year. So it's kind of sad that they didn't really know any different. And they missed out on making those social bonds and making friends and stuff like that. But I think they're doing a lot better now. Because initially I think it was a bit anxiety inducing. Kids get separation anxiety. You spent all day every day with mum and dad, and then suddenly you're going back to school and you're well into it, and it's kind of like it's a bit of a shock to the system, just being thrown back into that situation where it's not normal for them yet, whereas it should have been normal for them for years.
Yeah, they're coming into it a bit later than perhaps they normally would, because, it wouldn't have been that long ago where, you'd be in childcare for a couple of years up until you go to kinder, and then once you're in kinder, it's, school, 9 till 3:30?
Yeah.
Every day for the next 12, 13 years?
Yeah.
And so rather than that starting at 5, maybe that's now starting at 7 or something like that. And there is a great deal of difference between a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Oh, for sure. Massive. The learning deficits they would have. My kids have been doing pretty well, like average to above average in their school reports, which, I'm stoked with. But, I do think sometimes as they get older, it might become clearer what they missed out on not being able to be in the school environment, because I feel like it's necessary for learning. Even if you're doing homeschooling, you generally set up an environment for them to thrive in that education setting. But when everybody was kind of sent to homeschooling for the last 2 years, so many parents aren't made for that, aren't prepared for that. Like, you know, you are asking mothers and fathers to suddenly be teachers, which they were never taught how to do. They were never prepared. They weren't given reading about it. It was just straight into it. Like, I was homeschooling my little brother and he was just starting high school. And it was tough. It was so tough, you know, trying to keep him motivated, but also, you know, learning via the computer doesn't work for a lot of people. You know, I'm like that. I need someone in front of me talking to me, like, and showing me physically how to do things and how to work things out. But like I had to try and learn how to teach at that time, and it was as hard as on parents as it was on the kids at some point. Like, you know, we weren't made for that. We didn't study for 4 years to be a teacher, whereas, you know, we just kind of woke up and suddenly the kids weren't at school anymore and the responsibility was thrown on to everyone. Like, I feel bad for, parents and the kids. Like, it was tough, so tough, especially kids just starting, like, transitioning to high school or transitioning from kinder to prep. Like, you know, they needed that. Those are imperative years, imperative moments of being in new settings and gaining new, you know, just kind of trying to find where they are. And especially kids going into high school, like, you're out of grade 6 and suddenly you are the youngest in the school again, and you've got to try and figure out your place, and you're becoming a teenager now, and you generally have a group of friends and you're working together or you're hanging out together, and like, they missed out on all that opportunity. Like, they lost a lot. I feel terrible for those kids that went straight into year 7 and not actually go to school to be in year 7. Like, I feel that that's just an important part of development. They need it.
I think that would have been crazy, because it would have been quite possible for, you know, someone to have finished primary school in 2019, have a couple of weeks in year 7 in 2020, and then all of a sudden it's 2022 and you're in year 9. So you've sort of gone straight from being a grade 6 to being a year 9. And look, I imagine that there might have been a fair bit of Minecraft and Fortnite for some of those kids.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's going to be, and maybe some TikTok as well. I dare say maybe that's how this generation's going to bond. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, we're sort of the, you know, the lockdown, you know, Fortnite generation or something like that. But it would have been a real, I mean, also the kids that were finishing year 10 in 2019, and all of a sudden their entire VCE has been behind a screen.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, of course, I was studying my degree here at Box Hill during 2020 and 2021, right? But I don't know, maybe, I mean, as big a computer nerd as I am, I much prefer to be in person in a class. There's all sorts of body language.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Especially as a music student. You need that.
Oh, I remember, I mean, it's no indictment on the university, but when we had to do choir remotely, because of course, who's going to be in a room full of people breathing during COVID? But, you know, you would go to the first lesson and you know, with Zoom, there's always that little bit of a lag between when you speak and when you are heard. Of course, you know, when there's 20 people trying to sing in harmony, it's just a complete write-off. And so there would be Zoom sessions where you've literally got your mute button on and you're singing in the computer going, nobody can hear this. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. I could just lip sync. I could sing, you know, I could sing rhubarb, rhubarb, rhubarb. No one would know. And it's kind of like, what, like, I understand that this is the only way that they can do it, but whether I found it enjoyable or not, no, it would be the answer.
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised. Like,
and so
I would have struggled.
Oh, absolutely. And there would be all sorts of examples of that across all sorts of students as well, you know, like there'd be all sorts of people going, oh, well, you know, like, what did you, when you had Tyson and Zeke, right, what were there particular subjects they struggled with? And you could just sort of go, yeah, this sort of learning in this context sucks.
Well, I didn't really have them for their homeschooling.
Yeah.
They were with their dad. But, you know, I would ask them about it and talk to them about it. I feel like because they didn't really know any different, it was the same as like, having your least favourite subject and your favourite one, Oh, I don't like math, or I don't like English. But, I feel like because they didn't know any different, they couldn't really be like, this sucks over Zoom. I can't do this over Zoom. It's better in school.
Oh, so they didn't have that frame of reference. It was like,
No.
all we've ever known is Zoom.
Yep.
So how are they going now that they are in the classroom? Like, is that sort of a trip out to them? They're like, whoa, here's all these people I saw on the computer screen, but they're here now.
Yeah, I mean, initially, academically, they've been doing well. Like, they've been doing the same pretty much. But, school reports, a lot of the time it's all the copy and paste, change the student's name, change the he, she, whatever. Here you go. So you don't really get a comment. You have to wait for a parent-teacher interview to pop up. But, initially Tyson had a bit of separation anxiety, didn't want to go out to recess to play with any of the kids. He wanted to be inside with the teacher and would just sit inside and eat his lunch with his teacher. Eventually he got a bit better and he was going to the library and playing on the computer with Zeke. Zeke would also go. He didn't have as much of an issue socialising, but he's also that kind of kid. Whereas Tyson's very okay with hanging out on his own, reading a book, looking on his iPad. Like, he's very okay with it. He likes his space. So, eventually the teacher kind of was like, hey, let's go to the library. Let's try this out. And then he, made a couple friends, and Zeke was there too. And they started hanging out in the library, and now they're out on the playground. So, I'm really proud of him for that, because anxiety can be hard. I can't imagine it being as it was for him, going from being at home to suddenly mum and dad aren't there. You're just in a room full of kids, and deal with it. Just make the most of it. Like, you don't know how. Can't imagine it.
I definitely spent a lot of recesses and lunchtimes in the library as a
Me
kid.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I read a lot of books. I remember, it must have been just as CD-ROMs were coming into computers, and you'd get things like the Encyclopedia Britannica or Microsoft Encarta. I remember spending a lot of time,
Oh, wow.
looking up videos on your computer, because that was a new thing. Like, you could see, like this, tiny, like it wouldn't even be a thumbnail on today's YouTube, right? But that was like the resolution of the movie, and it would work, at about 6 frames a second.
You'd be stoked. You'd be so stoked with it.
Absolutely.
The internet.
Because it wasn't like look, I'm showing my age here, but I remember, when games first started getting colour. Like, if you had a game that had 4 colours, that was kind of exciting.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Like, I could understand why you'd be happy with that. Like, watching technology grow, being in the age that we're in, technology has just not stopped evolving. Like, it's constantly going. And I think for my kids' age, it's already there, and that's how it is. But, when I started school, we had some pretty old computers in the library, and we had enough for nearly every student. Some people had to couple up.
Yeah.
And so, it was always like really exciting to get to computer class and play we played putt-putt, which was just this little purple car that used to go around on adventures and play on paint.
Oh, paint.
And, that was like more than enough for us. We were so happy with that. I think it was in high school before the school got a trolley of laptops, and they were like brick of a things that probably wouldn't be functional now. But like, even when they wheeled in a trolley full of 30 laptops, it was like, oh my God, school has laptops. This is amazing. And now it's like, you're expected to bring a laptop to school now.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it is on the book list. Have your own laptop. It's weird and amazing at the same time. Like, technology has just gotten wild.
Did your school have Wi-Fi when you were growing up?
We did, but didn't.
Yeah.
High school did. Like, once we got the laptops, they were all connected to the school Wi-Fi, but you couldn't connect through phones or anything like that. It was laptops only pretty much. And even then it was a bitch of a thing to get it connected. And it was a bitch of a thing to keep it connected. But, you know, now you probably rock up to the school and just connect on your phone, connect on your iPad. Like, we didn't have that. You know, they're making all these textbooks online now rather than actually having books. Like, I would have struggled. Like, I liked having the physical thing, you know, and I feel like it's kind of part of the high school experience to have to carry a bunch of heavy books around everywhere and be like, oh, I have PE later, so I've got to carry all of these books plus my backpack with my sports uniform in it. Like, that's part of the experience. You got to struggle to get to one end of the school to the other. You just have to write a passage.
While we're here, I'll just take a quick moment to thank our sponsor for this session. I'm just going to thank my friend Rob Healy, aka Ghost Soul. He does my mixing and mastering for the tracks I've got coming out. Great guy, really recommend him. Hit him up on Instagram, Ghost Soul.
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah, he's a good bloke. And so, yeah, it's kind of weird how our generation has sort of, I think, did you remember dial-up in your?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sound. Like, it's just, it already brings me shivers just thinking of the sound it made. Oh, yuck. Because we got it at home. I think I might have been like 7 or 8 when we finally got internet at home. And you couldn't be on the phone and on the internet at the same time. If you picked up the phone, it was like in your ear, like couldn't do anything about it. And just the noise of it. And especially if it didn't connect and you had to do it again. You're like, oh, no.
25 cents each time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good way to rack it. I remember.
And just having to listen to that sound over and over. Like, yuck. Nah. Couldn't go back to that.
Maybe that's why our generation was so big into dubstep at the time. I remember seeing a meme somewhere where like...
It's just bringing up dial-up memories.
Exactly. It was like, you'd see all the people that influenced bands and they had Skrillex there and he had a dial-up modem. It was funny too because like back in the day when you wanted to go on the internet, right, you really had to premeditate it, you know what I mean? Like you had to go, okay, we're going to go to the room where the computer is and we're going to fire up the computer. Now that alone is going to take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then once the computer's fired up, you're going to start up the internet and that could take another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
you really got to timetable it into your day to get on the computer and get on the internet.
10 minutes between thinking of the question and getting the answer for it. But it was still better than going down, it's still better than going down to the library just to get one question, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I remember when I first got my first email address. That was crazy. Like, you know, and sending emails to my friend that lived just down the road pretty much. But I was like, mind blown. I didn't have to pick up the phone. I still hate being on the phone.
Yeah.
Who am I kidding? So, you know, emailing her from like, oh, you're going to come over and just hoping that she connects her internet in time so that she can see that I've sent her an email.
Absolutely. And I mean, okay, now I'm going to ask which email provider did you have your first email with? Do you remember? Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo?
That is a good question because we didn't have this like the standard like big name ones. For a while we had something called Incredimail.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and it had emojis.
Yeah.
It had emoticons. I remember having that and just kind of talking through my mum's email address. I think my first own one that I had was with iPrimus because my dad set it up. And like, you know, blessed to him for that because I don't have like a stupid email address that I have to be ashamed to give to people. It's actually my name and my 93 at the end of it. You know, and I don't have to be like, oh, it's underscore blah, 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 like,
oh, yeah.
You know, I kind of got the good end of that deal there.
Yeah, naughty boy 420 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I dodged a bullet with that one. So, yeah, gosh, I would have been maybe 10. And that was because I was moving schools. So I still wanted to be able to keep in touch with friends from my first primary school. So they were like, okay, you can have your email address, you can have your MSN and you can online chat. Yeah. So, I really only got it then. Didn't really use it for anything other than just chatting at that point. Now my email is just full of junk all the time. Every time I open it, it's like 8 new messages. And I'm like, oh, sick. Probably something important in that. Nah, it's all just trash.
Yeah.
And no matter how many I click unsubscribe to, there's just more. Doesn't stop.
I use Gmail, and they're actually pretty good with their spam filter. But I tell you what,
that's what I've got now.
If you want to laugh, you go into the spam filter of your Gmail and you just go, wow, I didn't know there were that many different brand names for Viagra.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know that there were that many hot singles in my area. Why is this spam? Why were you directing it there? I need this.
What do I need Tinder for? Yeah, exactly. Should have been here. I'll just check my spam folder.
You know, I just want my Ethiopian prince, all right? And you've just directed his email to my spam folder instead. He's not going to give me the millions of dollars anymore because I've missed his email. Thanks, Gmail. Rude.
I find I've been getting a ton of scammers on Instagram lately. And I don't know whether I am stupid or sadistic or something, but I'll quite often just string them along to try to find out what
how
it is.
fun is it? I do it too.
Do you? Yeah. What's the best one you've had?
Oh, I had one recently that she emailed me about my old account that I had deleted a few years ago now. And yeah, fair enough. I had a few thousand followers on it. And it was just, I've seen your account and like we're like a publicity company and like just talking about online growth and blah, blah, blah. And I just emailed saying that account was deleted like 3 years ago. And then she emailed back being like, oh, well, if you're interested, because, seeing that just showed me blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how did you see it and email me yesterday?
Yeah.
Where are you from? But eventually I was just like, stop emailing me. Like, you're actually, this isn't fun anymore. You're just wasting my time. Like, I don't even know how you knew of that account, let alone how big it was. And like, oh, your bio was great. It's like, oh, the bio where I was like, my age, where I'm from, this is what I do cosplay, I do modeling. That is an eye-catching bio, isn't it? Thanks for that.
I think I had one, the one that stands out from memory recently, right, was someone, and they always message you out of it, and they go, hello, how are you? And it's like, oh,
we're not friends.
Really? Yeah, I don't. And what they were like is like, oh, we like your account. We've entered you in a competition, right? And they asked some silly riddle where there were 3 answers, right? And each answer was correct, right? And he was like, wow, you got the correct answer. Here's $2,000. We'd like to transfer it to you. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Can I come and pick it up from your house in cash? And they're like, no, you can't do that. But what you can do is we'll transfer it via PayPal. What you've got to do is verify your account by making your recovery email address our email address. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And so what I would do is I would send them, and then they're like, change your details, send us a screenshot. And so I'd send a screenshot of my account, no details changed. And they'd be like, no, go to settings, go to account details and do it. And then I just send them a screenshot of their account. And then I'd send them a screenshot of my account with MS Paint written poorly with their email address misspelt. And eventually, I don't know, I think I just broke down and swore at them, just going,
yeah, get fucked.
You're a shame. You bring shame upon your family for your actions. And so, yeah. And so I think that was the last one there's all sorts of great ones where they're like, oh, I'll be your investment agent. All you've got to do is send me like $1,000 in untraceable crypto. And I'm like, what could go wrong? But I just think for them to spend the time on this, it must occasionally pay off, some of these scams must
there
work.
would be someone's kind of clueless out there, for sure. Like they used to do it over the phone. They still do it over the phone.
Yeah, they sure do.
There's always someone. And obviously it works if they're still going. Like you can report them to agencies or whatever now, but like 10 more will pop up in that guy's place.
Yep. Oh, they're all bots through a VPN or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. You really got to educate yourself on how to use the internet now.
It's a dangerous place if you're not careful.
Absolutely. Like, I I mean, I was very rarely allowed on the internet growing up. I didn't really get unlimited access until I moved out. I was like 17, 18. So before then, I didn't really see the experiences that everyone else had. You know, I would hear about it, but I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's 1 in a million. And now being on the internet, it's everywhere. You know, you can go to your Facebook Messenger spam and just see all of these people like, hi, how are you doing? You're so beautiful. You're this, you're that. And it's like, how do kids navigate this now? Like, you have to be educated about what is real and what isn't, and you have to kind of try and rely on hopefully knowing what is real. And it's really hard to know. You know, I mean, now that I'm my age and I did grow up in the technology boom age, really, you know, I can see it a mile away and be like, sus. But you know, kids growing up, even people older than me, like, you know, my mum and older, like Gen X and up, like it'd be really hard for them to know because they didn't really get the education into it. Whereas I was in high school and you were doing kind of like internet safety classes, even if it was just once a year, to talk to you about like the dangers of the internet and strangers and stuff like that. You know, in primary school, stranger danger was the guy waiting in the van outside. Now stranger danger is there in your inbox. Yeah,
it's a different challenge for this generation, isn't it? Because I mean, as you said, like all you got to do is go in your spam filter, and there's your education in internet safety right there. Because I mean, look, I definitely I know people that have lost tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because someone came in and was able to view their screen remotely, pretending to help them with their internet problems, and went through and just cleared out the bank account. And so, I mean, you do have to stay frosty, don't you?
Oh, for sure. Like, and look, initially you kind of like, oh, I must just look really rude. Like, they're probably a really nice person. Like, no, they don't know you. You'll never see them ever again. Be as rude as you want. Like, they should know what they're doing shitty.
Yeah, they definitely do not have your best interests in heart.
Oh, no. For sure. But, you know, it is what it is. It's everywhere. And I feel like it's just going to get worse. As more populated as the planet gets, as busier as the internet gets, it's going to be everywhere. It's unavoidable now. What can you do?
Oh, well, I guess it's up to people like you and me to be that ray of sunshine in people's life, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I give it a go. I'm probably a lot nicer to people than I am like in person. I'm kind of like sitting there in my head probably being such a bitch. But like outwardly, I'm just like, you're so sweet.
And then you're like, block.
Pretty much.
Well, we might wrap it up here. It's been super, super good to see you again, and super good to have you on the podcast too.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's awesome to see you.
It's a pleasure. It's really good to have you back. You know, it's good to see you for the first time, I think, since whichever lockdown it was, you know. So. Yeah,
oh, jeez. Who knows? Months ago. Easily months ago.
BC, before COVID.
Before COVID.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Brodie Angus.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, see ya.
See ya.